appeal to ourselves. The people we are protecting, so as not to jeopardize their interests. The duty we are talking about, I know the duties are there. We are still going to collect them, but there is a limit. We can close the border according to international rules. When we satisfy the community now, we'll be able to, again, to see what we are doing. As regards the closure of the border, what are we doing to forestall these problems in future again? This is my area. What we are going to do is to call the stakeholders involved. What are their real problems? We call them here, the Controller Generals of Customs, the Immigration, the prisons, and so on, including the army that are manning the borders. It's not only custom officers that are really manning the border. Their own is to restrict goods. And if somebody can restrict goods, cannot restrict human beings. The immigration is there. The human beings are the carriers of these arms and ammunition. Custom has done its best. They have done according to the order of Mr. President. It is the citizen now that must do the needful. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Plenary. Senator Alero, if you have any this, you can respond after.
Thank you, Mr. President, my highly respected colleagues. Mr. President, my name remains Plenary, and I represent for your Central. Mr. President, going through this motion, you see the security and economic benefits in this partial closure. Indeed, Mr. President, it gives us as a nation an opportunity to reset our socio-economic lives. But a word of caution, Mr. President, on the consumption pattern on some of the goods banned. Rice as an example. Mr. President, if my research is correct, it tells me that we remain the largest importer of rice in the world, despite being the largest producer in Africa. My research also tells me, Mr. President, that we consume 7 million tons of rice, but only produce 3.7 million tons per year. Mr. President, simple math tells us that there is a shortfall of 3.3 million tons. I've been having this discussion with these rice farmers we have here, Senator Alero and the leader. And
the leader is what? Oh, okay.
And the truth of the matter, Mr. President, is that we are just not competitive enough. We cannot compete against this foreign rice. That is a fact. I think there's a need, Mr. President, for our Committee on Agric to look into this. Mr. President, some of my colleagues at Suzwan and Co have also raised concern about the state of our border force and customs. It is clear to me, or should I be mad to suggest, it seems to suggest that they are ill-prepared or ill-trained to do their jobs. Some have suggested that there may be cartels involved in this trade. Mr. President, there's a need for our committee, our security committees, and our experts like Senator Fadansi Abamoru to come together and see what the real issues are. Thank you.
Senator Kabir Barkia. Senator Mohamed Sani Musa.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I am Mohamed Sani Musa representing Niger East from Niger State. I stand here not to support or go against the motion. Well, I want to raise some fundamental issues that I felt closure of the border does not bring an end solution to the multifaceted problems we have in this country. We can commend Mr. President for the bold step in closing the border on grounds of security and the incursion of movement of people into Nigeria, which has given rise to the banditry we are facing today. But when you are talking about economy, I think it's far from that. Closure of border, temporary closure of border, does not translate to changing the realities of what is happening to our economy. What we need in this country is a holistic review of our economic policies. What are those economic policies that need to be reviewed? We are talking about bringing in other sectors of the economy, sectors to rise the economy of the country. We have been dependent on oil. I agree with the last speaker where he was saying that if NNPC will be given the opportunity to say, okay, the whole of West African region is our market, refine this fuel and sell it to them. Will there be smuggling of oil? Will there be smuggling of petroleum products outside Nigeria anymore? We will not be talking about smuggling. When we are talking about rice, when Mr. President came, he did so much in seeing to the diversification of our own economy, in especially area of agriculture. There was a lot of support to the agricultural sector, whereby we have today large rice farmers. And those large rice farmers need to be protected. Have we taken stock to know how much or how many of these rice farmers have collected these incentives from government, and what have they done with it? Will it not be in the right direction for our own rice farmers also to see the possibility of saying, not only the domestic market, let's look at our neighbors. Are they producing rice as we are? Why don't we now take our rice over there? But it wasn't, this is not what is happening. The borders are closed, but a lot of foreign rice are coming into this country by motorcycles. Have we achieved what we want to do? A lot of ways they have diversified in bringing in small arms into this country using motorcycles from those borders that the former Minister of Interior said we have, the illegal entries. What has government done about that? I don't want to stand here to blame customs, immigration, or the agencies that man our borders. What I want to put to this hollow chamber is that the whole policies of government, despite how good they are, they have not been implemented to the end. A policy will come, very robust, but along the line, somebody will sit on it and nothing will be done. How do you expect the end result to give you what you want? It's not possible. For me, the closure of the borders at this time, in area of security, yes. But when you are talking about making our own economy better, I don't see how it will make this economy better. If you close the border for 2 months, 6 months, it will not make any difference. We must do something. Even the border communities we are talking about, what kind of investment have we done in those areas? We need to do more so that we'll be able to protect the interest of Nigeria. We'll be able to protect lives and properties of Nigerians within those borders. And they will be also be able to see what is wrong and stop doing it. They can stop it more than even the security agencies. Because if I'm from a certain particular habitat that is bordering a foreign country, I will not want to see anything that will come that will be negative to my own side. So I think there is more for us to do than just closing the borders. Thank you, sir.
Senator Balai Bunala.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues. First, I think I will crave the indulgence of the distinguished Senate President to give us guidance on how to address distinguished Senator Abaribe, having acted as a governor, whether he belongs to the group of former governors or not, so that we can be properly guided. Acting governor. But with due respect, sir, the issue of border internationally has always been a very controversial issue. Of recent, President Trump of the United States of America has done whatever is humanly possible to get the approval of the parliament to even build walls along the border. You see, the constitutional responsibility vested on the president of the country are heavy and enormous. One is his responsibility to stimulate the economy. Two, to secure the territorial integrity of the country he governs. Now, balancing the two is equally a huge issue. But let me quickly set the record straight. I like to disagree with distinguished Senator Abaribe, the Deputy Minority Leader, on the issue of on the issue of.
Is that what you chose to call him? Oh, okay.
The issue is this. The mere fact that the government has signed free trade agreement does not in any way connotes that we are submitting the country to all kinds of trade. What we anticipated by signing the free trade agreement is that it's going to be legal trading. And this issue is as old as the history of man. If my memory will not fail me, and I'm sure some of the lawyers here will remember the case of Chigori versus Inland Revenue Commissioners. Lord Denning said, and I quote, "The word trade is one of those common English words that does not lay separately to any size definition, which all of us think we know, but we are hard-pressed to define. Is a monkey a human being or an animal in the form of a human being? It has ears, it has eyes. What detail does it lack?" And then he went on to make this analysis. The reason why I'm bringing this is this. Will the government now say cost-benefit analysis to the nation in order to safeguard the inflow of the economy that comes from the legal borders, in quotes, vis-a-vis the security, the territorial integrity of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, weighed in two sides? We will abandon the country and go for the economy? Is that the thinking of an average Nigerian? I think, contrary to that, the thinking of an average Nigerian is that secure my country, let me live peacefully, ensure legal trading so that I can legally exist within the country. And I think what the government is trying to do, from the feelers I have, is that we can no more condone a situation where our borders remain open to all sorts of things, and we are unable to physically come out with policy that can redirect the economy of this country. So in order now to make reforms, let us first of all close the borders. Let us call those charged with the responsibility of administering these borders to tell us what we can do to take care of both the illegal and the legal borders, so that our country will be seen to be promoting free trade but legal trading across borders. And then in doing so, we will equally succeed in securing the country from all the criminalities that are associated with these unmanned borders and even the ones that are manned. Distinguished Senator Fada Unsi made an attempt to assist by saying that it's difficult to accuse immigration, custom, and the rest. But let me be honest with you, sir. If we must say the truth, we must equally accept the fact that one of the fundamental problems of this country is our brothers and sisters that are charged with the responsibility of administering our borders. We all know this. All kinds of things can come in at a price. And no country that means well for its people will continue to save this as an acceptable practice. So with the greatest respect, just like I have said earlier, it has always been a controversial issue when it comes to the issue of border closing. Politicians will try as much as they can to appease their electorates, since they cannot distinguish between the good and the bad ones. But here, when they announce appearance, they say, I appear for the good people of, and then they mention constituency. They will mention those bad ones. So let us do what is humanly possible to ensure that this country exists, so that we can have the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the seat of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and then a prosperous Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Deputy Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I have listened quietly to our contributions from my colleagues, and one thing stands out clear. Most of the speakers tend to speak against the motion, but employ diplomacy to say the motion is okay, I support it. But two things stand out clear, two factors, security factor and economic factor. And I'm going to make few remarks along these lines. On the security front, it is the best decision in the circumstance. As a country where we found ourselves, where we are now, it is actually the best decision. The best decision in the sense that most of the people killing Nigerians all over the place are not Nigerians. Whether they are invited by politicians or they come on their own because of lack of capacity on the part of those who are supposed to watch over these borders is another debate for another day. But one thing is clear, I know that there are around square pegs in round holes, you know. So I think we couldn't have done something different. But having appraised the security advantage that necessitates the closure of this border, we need to do or go further in trying to fish out those who are in our midst. Because when we close the border, we'll search inwards and find out who are those that are in our midst that are not part of us. Actually, this is our biggest problem now. But on the economic front, it's actually a disaster. Because we all agree that we sign a trade agreement that involves all of us, and we have spoken about adopting a single currency, ECOWAS currency, and I know most of us are aware, in the EU, where they have this single currency, there are no restrictions In the European Union, where they adopt this singular currency, I think border closure of a particular country that is a member of the EU is a decision that will simply not be even considered in the first place. So while we are arguing this, we must look at this from where we are now as a country. So for me, it's good to close the border and look inwards so that we can sanitize the security arrangement and maybe do necessary things that will restore peace and orderliness in the nation. That is actually my take, Mr. President.
Senator Samegu.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sam Egu, Ebony North. Mr. President, the fundamental duty of every government, as guaranteed by our Constitution, is the provision and protection of the lives and property of Nigerians. And I know that Mr. President, by closing the border, has done exactly that. We're talking about economy. By leaving our borders porous, our economy is suffering. Security-wise, by leaving our borders porous, we are being killed every day. And there's no way Mr. President can be faulted. I know that the closure might inconvenience a lot of people, especially the business community, or our brothers doing a lot of business in the other part of the country. But I think inconveniences should be step down at this time and let us secure lives of our Nigerians. And the idea that we should give a time frame for reopening the border, I think is also very wrong. Very, very wrong. We may not know the intelligence Mr. President has by leaving it without specific date. There are some security implications involved. As the head of state and commander-in-chief, he may have some information that is not available to us. And by leaving it that way, he may be trying to find solutions or close up loopholes that will make sure that the moment it is opened, our people's lives and properties are secured. So I want to advise this Senate that in our deliberations or conclusions or recommendations, we should not go close to that area of asking Mr. President to have a specific date for reopening the border. We should allow it the way it is, because it has information that may not be available to us. So that, through leaving it that way, he may come up with the security chiefs or security architecture that will enable him secure Nigeria more than it is now. So, Mr. President, that's my contribution.
Senator Chukwuka Utazi.
Thank you. For Senator Chukwuka Utazi, representing who also introduce it of Enugu State. Mr. President, I will just add a little bit to the contribution so far. Dr. Sam Egu has almost said what I wanted to say. The reason is that even in this argument, I wanted earlier to deepen this suggestion. When you see Mr. President act the way he did, you know that the agencies of government are working and are informing him properly. Mr. President doesn't owe it to us to come on air and tell us the reason behind his action somehow. Because it's security in the first place. When you have the intelligence, the NFIU that we passed here last year, working very effectively, monitoring what is going globe-wise, and the way money is moving hands and getting into this country and giving us a lot of headache. He doesn't owe you to come and tell you all this. When the Department of Military Intelligence has information, Mr. President does not come here to tell you that DMI has just informed him or the NIA have informed him. What he will just come here to tell you is that he is taking this action. That we're even going to this extent and debating this issue means that the agencies of government, such government, that should come here and brief the leadership of National Assembly on social issues, look at this way, the way they're going. They have not done their job. If this job has been done, we will not go to this direction and be talking about it because it's security information. But Mr. President, I also have to say that we passed the Border Control Commission here. It's one of the very important bill the 8th Assembly passed, the Border Commission bill. That Border Commission is very, very important. It has to handle the issues that have to do with our communities who are on the fronts, the corridors, the border corridors of this country, and that are helping one way or the other to get this done. I know that if that commission starts working effectively, the trouble we are having with our border communities that are creating rooms for people to illegally get access into this country will be a thing of the past. So we should be talking about it while we are discussing this issue that is very, very important. The speedy implementation or the appointment of membership of that commission is very, very important for the security, the internal security of this country. If we get that commission to start working effectively, it will put paid to people who are getting illegal access through the frontiers of this country into our country and then destabilizing us. The other issue has also to do with the light weapons and small arms. We know it is a security issue, major issue, which we're not discussing here, but it is part of what is led to this issue. Let us not go into that direction here and start talking, advising the presidency to even talk about review. We should not talk about review. When the agencies of government has information that they guided this issue comes to that issue, the president will act otherwise. If not, why did the president just about 2 months ago, we had the free trade bill he did. He cannot just say one thing 2 months ago and come back and do that. There is reason. So, and it is our duty here as the highest level decision-making, law-making organ of men to understand Mr. President with what he's doing and flow with him and not get into that area. Let the criminals that are taking advantage of our country stay clear of our borders. We are ready to move with Mr. President, suffer here internally as long as we have security in this country. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Distinguished colleagues, let's go to the prayers. Prayer 1. Okay. Point of order, Senator Aleru.
Not until those choosing to speak shall have spoken.
You know, I already granted you that. When you wanted to, you say information, I say you could speak after, so you can go ahead. You are well protected.
Let me start by clearing certain misconceptions. The border closure is not permanent. It is temporary. And Mr. President has said it time with time. Because some countries are...
Wait, did you say Order 56? 56.3. No, not 53-11. Some of our senators are not in their seats. Senator Otazi.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I want to clear certain misconceptions. The border closure is not permanent. It has been stated that it's temporary. And right now, there is ongoing diplomatic negotiation between Nigeria and Benin Republic, and perhaps even Cameroon, on what to do to open these borders. Nigeria will not accept a situation where a neighboring country will be used as a smuggling base and dump unwanted goods into Nigeria. Some of you that spoke about the price of rice going up, you should know that all the importers of rice through Benin Republic are smugglers. They cannot bring it through Nigerian ports because they don't want to pay the prescribed import duty of 70%. And if they bring it through the border, definitely it will be cheaper than the one produced in Nigeria, because there is a difference of well over 10,000 naira. If you bring it through the border...
Distinguished Senator Alero, I think you just need to briefly clarify these issues. You shouldn't be moving the motion again. I'm sure. Okay, just okay.
Mr. President, this is necessary because the public is watching us, and I want us to clear the air properly. Secondly, on the issue of security, it has been said time without number that most of the illegal arms that are coming into this country are coming through the border. And there is no way Nigeria will allow this kind of situation to continue when we are facing insurgency, armed banditry, and armed robbery in the country. Mr. President has taken the right decision. Already, Niger Republic has bowed to the diplomatic pressure that from now on, no importer of rice should pass through Niger Republic. We are waiting to hear whether Benin Republic will do the same. Equally, we are waiting to hear whether Cameroon Republic will do the same. If this is done, why not we open the border? Rice can be imported into this country, but it has to come through our seaport, where all the regulatory agencies, like customs, Food and Drug Administration, Standard Organization, will ascertain the quality of that rice before it comes into this country. What we are getting is toxic rice coming from Benin Republic, and people don't know. And people are consuming it, and it's causing a lot of health problems to our people. Quite a number of people are suffering from cancer, colon cancer in particular. People should understand that. Not only that, Mr. President, the issue of free trade, nobody is against free trade in Nigeria. Mr. President, our president has gone to sign that agreement, and he means it. And if there is free trade in Africa, it is for the benefit of Nigeria, because we have the largest market and we have the most productive, elite in the country. Our capacity is bigger than any other country in West Africa or Africa at large. So we stand to benefit more by having free trade, but it must be legal trade, not smuggling. Mr. President, the issue of frozen chicken I talk about, it has been said that the chicken that comes from Brazil, they normally apply formaldehyde, which is a chemical used to embalm dead body. They embalm, dead body with formaldehyde.
But they put it on frozen chicken simply because they don't want it to get rotten. And when it comes to Nigeria, it is being distributed all over the country. And people consume it, and it causes a lot of health hazards. These are the reasons why the border is closed. And let me say it on authority, Mr. President, that the political class in Benin Republic is involved in the smuggling of rice and frozen chicken. And this is known to the presidency, this is known to NIA, this is known to National Financial Intelligence Unit, as said by Senator Otazi. So I believe this is necessary explanation that I have to give. Thank you, Mr. President.
Let's go to the prayers. Prayer 1. Commend the presidency in C on the very patriotic decision to temporarily shut down all our land borders in order to rectify the deteriorating effect on our country of persistent smuggling of products that negatively affect the Nigerian economy and the well-being of our nation. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2, urge the Ministries of Foreign Affairs and Interior to increase diplomatic outreach to the government of the Republic of Benin, Cameroon, Niger, and Chad to take urgent measures to stop their countries from being used as smuggling base to perpetuate the illegal importation of unwanted goods into Nigeria. Those in support of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 3, commend the Nigerian Customs Service and the security services for their role in intensifying the curbing of smuggling across the borders and assure them that the Nigerian Senate is with them in their onerous task of ridding Nigeria of smuggled goods and services. Those in favor? Okay. Amendment, Senator Samuel Ogu.
Thank you, Mr. President. My amendment is that since we have commended Mr. President in item 1, that in item 3 we just urge them as we did in, we urge the customs as we did in item 2, because we urge foreign affairs and interior, so we should continue urging them, not to recommend them. So my amendment will be to urge the Nigerian Customs Service and the security.
Urge or encourage.
I urge the Nigerian Customs Service and the security services to intensify the curbing of smuggling across the borders and assure them that the Nigerian Senate is with them in their onerous task of ridding Nigeria of smuggled goods and services.
Any seconder? Senator Geshambasi.
Thank you, Mr. President. Geshambasi, Cross River South. I rise to support the secondment as moved by distinguished Senator Samego. I so second.
Those in favor of prayer 3 as amended say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 4. Assure friendly countries around the world that the border closure should not be perceived as a punitive measure targeted at them, but a necessary action to save our economy from collapse and protect our people from terrorism and insecurity. Those in favor of prayer 4 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. This additional prayer, Senator Olubumi Adetumbi.
To direct, my name is Adetumbi from Ekiti North. Additional prayer reads, to direct the committees on customs and tariffs, trade and investment, and interior to assess the effectiveness of temporary close down of borders and recommend necessary sustainable solutions. I so suggest.
Those in favor of the additional prayer say aye. Oh, seconder, please. GT Sekibo.
Senator George Thompson Sekibo, Rivers East. I rise to second the additional prayer proposed by my colleague.
Thank you very much. Those in favor of the additional prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have. Additional prayer, Senator Abamoro.
Thank you, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues. My name is Senator Abba Moro, representing Benue South. Mr. President, my additional prayer is for a review of the country's border control mechanism and empower relevant government agencies to properly delineate Nigeria's borders so as to effectively man same.
Any seconder? Senator Ayo Akinye-Lure.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Ayo Akinye-Lure. I represent Ondo Central. I rise to support the additional prayer as moved by my namesake, Senator Abamoro. I so second, Mr. President.
You share a name? Oh, okay, yes. Those in favor of the additional prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, thank you very much for the various interventions on this very important motion. I think this motion is supposed to be very straightforward. We save our economy and save our people, particularly. Economy, smuggling causes a lot of damage. Our people eat the wrong foods that are smuggled into the country. And of course, security is part of it. So we pray that the resolutions will be well adhered to and of course implemented by the executive arm of government. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, having come this far and with my colleagues breathing behind my neck on the mood, I would like to move the motion that we suspend all other items on the agenda until another legislative day. I so move, Mr. President.
Minority Leader.
Having been caught up by the mood, I second
Mrs. Janet Ugoiziwaja, PhD.
You could have decided not to second it.
Mrs. Janet Ugoiziwaja.
So those in favor of the motion that we stand down the remaining items on the other paper till another legislative day say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Dr. Janet Ugoiziwaja was born to the family of late Assistant Commissioner of Police for the Eastern Region in the 1960s. Mr. Eugene John Ajawaja, Ishago of Ebony State, and late Mrs. Comfort Waja from Ekpe, Warri, Delta State, Nigeria. She was born September 18, 1960. She is married with 5 children and 4 grandchildren. Her husband is Chief Obioma Awazie of NTA, the Chief Program Officer, National Assembly TV.
representing Abia South.
He's also the Unyo Mbawan of Ubakala, Mwaya, Abia State.
But I want them to tarry a while so that we can enjoy
Her first school leaving certificate was from Ishagu Central School in 1974. Hawaii and JCE was from Nigeria Institute of Commerce above 1978.
I have 2 announcements. Announcement, inaugural meeting of the Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters, date Thursday, the 26th day of September 2019, that's tomorrow. Venue, Committee Room 204, time 2 p.m., signed Chairman of the Committee, Senator Michael Bamidele Openi. Another announcement, inaugural meeting of the Committee of Finance comes up tomorrow, the 26th day of September 2019, time 2 p.m. Venue, Committee Room 204. That's a conflict. Okay. Venue, of course, they will resolve it. So it means you have to reach out to your members, whoever decides to stand down. Signed, Senator Solomon Adiola Olamilekon. Distinguished colleagues, with this Senate stands adjourned till tomorrow, Thursday, the 26th day of course. I think everybody is in the mood to leave, and it appeared I'm even in a more mood of living. So let me put the question: those in favor of the motion that the Senate do adjourn till tomorrow, the 26th day of September 2019 at 10 a.m. from, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate is hereby adjourned till tomorrow, 26th day of September 2019 at 10 a.m. prompt.
Taking place. First of all, say sorry about the banditry that has been taking place in Castina. It's like banditry.
September 2019. September 2019.
We found an alternative because I know the Excellency people defend the LEA. Your Excellency, in all
everyday occurrence. All the elders, chiefs, and children went to represent them. Because
There are two communities and observed area. You guys have this by working an interest. Also, on the same page.
Senator Dinumilai.
My respected colleagues, the highly respected President of the Nigerian Senate,